What is up, YouTube? Live via satellite here, and today we are talking Kingdom, manga chapter 517. And guys, I really enjoyed the chapter. It was pretty good. And the first thing we're going to discuss, guys, is we're going to discuss this Zhao King. Not only is this Zhao King up there doing his best Boy George impersonation, but he is being very disrespectful to our man Boku. Like, he just doesn't give a damn, does he? I mean, not only does he have boys on deck, like, look at this. He has boys on deck. Like, there's some things you just don't let little boys do, like be altar boys, go to Neverland Ranch, attend Penn State football games, and you definitely, by all means, do not let your little boy go to the Zhao capital, okay? Don't let him go there. It's not a good place. So anyway, guys, we see that this king is not just sick. He's actually sick. Like, he's not just sick in the head. He's literally physically sick. And this is why he does not care about his kingdom. He literally is like, we could shut the doors for the next 20 years. And you know what? By then, I'll probably be dead anyway. So, I mean, he really doesn't care about his subjects. And this may lead to some other events in the future, which we'll talk about later. But this is why he will not let Boku use the 100,000 men of Catan. He figures, why does he want to give his men up when he could just easily shut his doors and live the rest of his life out in the city, in the capital? This is where Boku is just disgusted. He feels as though they're living in dark times under this king. But as he walks out the door, the new hope. Oh, that sounded Star Warsy. As he walked out the doors, he sees the hope of Zhao, and this hope is the prince, Prince Ka. So he believes in this prince, and obviously the prince knows that his father's a prick. He's like, look, Boku, I have to apologize for my dad. If you need anything from me, I'll help you out. He's like, I'll even go out there and be like Say from Quinn, and you know. And I'm thinking to myself, like, ooh, dude, you just like, don't you notice that's Boku's biggest L? You kind of like touched a sore spot right there. But Boku believes if they can just get through these dark times, they can move on to a better king. So after all this, we find out what's going on with the Quinn side of things, and we find out Ousen's plans. And, you know, in the previous chapter, everyone pretty much thought he was either headed toward the capital or he was headed toward Yotanwa to help her defeat the army. And in typical Ousen fashion, we were pretty much all wrong. So what Ousen decided to do was he decided to split his forces because he realized that Zhao would be coming at them like a swarm from a beehive. But he said there's only two armies that could actually make a dent, basically. And the two armies that he was referring to was the army of Atsuyo and the army of Ryoyu. Yotanwa is already engaged with the Ryoyu army. So what Ousen decides to do is he decides to send Heki, who has 8,000 men, and he's going to give him 2,000 more men from the Kanki army. Heki will go to aid Yotanwa, and that's it. That's all he's sending for Yotanwa. So Heki, I have 10,000 men, and I'm telling you right now, if Heki doesn't produce, I'm done with Heki. Me and Heki are through. That's it. I'm over Heki. So this is Heki's last chance at redemption with me. And he thinks he's going to make an impact. So he better make an impact, because, I mean, he's going over there with Yotanwa, and that's the only help she's getting. And I kind of feel sorry for Yotanwa that she's getting Heki as like her savior. So what we have here is we're going to have Yotanwa and Heki basically forming a combined army of 60,000 men, but they will still be having to face over 100,000 coming their way. So they're still going to be outnumbered. So it's going to be a lot of strategy that they're going to have to be able to come up with. So hopefully we see something from Heki. Heki's job is just going to basically be to stay around Gaio and, you know, deflect all the smaller armies that arrive to, you know, try to penetrate their defenses. So the Ousen army will be taking his 70,000 men plus the 8,000 men from the Haishin unit plus Ohan's men and Moten's men. So he'll have 88,000 people in that combined force, and they will all be heading toward Atsuyo. Now, it's also brought up that Ousen has way more men in his army than, you know, Yotanwa will have in her force. Ten thinks that this is like, you know, overloading one side. But Ousen brings up the fact that they believe that Boku will be a part of the Atsuyo force. Therefore, they're going to need the numbers in that group. So after this, we move back over to the Zhao side, they notice that the Quinn have already started moving their troops toward Yotanwa's side and toward Atsuyo. This is when Riboku starts to make his moves. So Riboku puts Shun Suju in charge of the army of Ryoyu. Now, it is also pointed out that Riboku has a lot of faith in this dude because he put him up from deputy to 100,000 man commander, basically. What I've noticed is this dude, Sun Shuju, seems like he's pretty capable. And obviously, if Riboku's trusting him like this guy has some skills. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he's like Riboku Light or Riboku Jr. I'm sure this dude's going to be a problem. He's going to definitely be a problem. Now, everybody else will be going with Riboku to Atsuyo. Riboku says that he believes that that's where Ousen's main force will be as well. So they pretty much both read each other's hands like to the T. They both kind of predicted that each one of them would be going in that direction. As Riboku says, he believes that this fight will come down to whichever force can annihilate their respective opponents. So that is the chapter in a nutshell. And guys, it was an awesome chapter. But we are also left with a couple of questions here. So the main question I've come out of this chapter with is, I have actually two questions. And the first one would be, well, how long can Gaio last? They really haven't given us a time limit on how long Gaio can maintain with their food supply. I mean, because to be honest with you, Riboku says they have to annihilate their opponents, but that may only be for the Zhao side. Quinn may only need to stall the opponent because if Gaio runs out of food, they won't last long, you know what I mean? So they might not have to annihilate their opponent. They may just have to stall their opponent. This may put Zhao in a more tight situation where they want to press, you know what I mean? They'll do things that they wouldn't normally do because they don't feel they have much time left. The second thing I thought about was the king. Okay, so the king drops a pretty heavy threat on Riboku at the beginning of the chapter. He pretty much says, like, if Gaio falls, you're done. He's killing Riboku. And not only is he killing Riboku, he's killing everybody who rolls with Riboku. So to me, that threat right there alone is kind of like the king will probably die. Okay, so I think the king's going to get assassinated because Riboku obviously can't die, and I think Gaio is going to get taken over. So if Gaio gets taken over, the king can't kill Riboku, so I think he's going to die. And I think that the prince has to like make a move here. The prince is obviously willing to go to extremes, right? So if he's willing to go to the extremes of, you know, going out there and being like Say and going to be on the front lines, walking around with swords, why not be to the extremes of taking out one dude, which is his crazy father? Because if the king dies, that frees up those 100,000 men, which is going to make things hell for the Quinn army. I don't know. I think that's where we're headed. But guys, the chapter was great. Let me know what you guys thought about it in the comment section below. So like, comment, subscribe. Peace out.